Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Damien After Dark. If you're new here or you haven't already subscribed, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like, comment below so we can talk about this video and what's going on. There's big news out of Salt Lake City and we're about to get right into it. So the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 2 is winding down and the reunion was filmed today in New York City. And the big news is that Mary Cosby did not show up to the reunion. Why is this big? Because in the Bravo world, when you don't show up to a reunion, you pretty much sealed your fate for the next season. That's usually what's tended to happen. If you think about it, in the past, we've had people like Lisa Vanderpump, Adrian from Beverly Hills. Both of them did not show up to reunions. They did not show up the next season. Jacqueline from Jersey did the same one year. I don't know if she showed up the next season or not. And then someone else did it in their season as well. Y'all remind me in the comments below. But Mary, this is not looking good for you, girl. And I say that because why it's not good for her, I've said this in videos before. I don't think Mary has as much money as we think. I mean, it's already alleged that she is scamming her church members and they're in this cult and she's bamboozling them into giving her money because they think that she is just this godlike figure. So I think Mary joined the show, to be honest with you, when it came around because she needed the paycheck. And somewhere in her head, of course, I think she likes the fame, of course. Fame is a drug. All the housewives who do it, the majority of the time, is to get that fame, that exposure, and that platform. But if you watched The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City from the beginning until now, Mary, to me, and I don't mean this as an insult because she was my favorite last year. Her and Jen were like my favorites. And Heather, actually, and Meredith. I had a lot of favorites. But Mary has not always seemed like she's all the way there. Is that just me? She seems like she's just a little slow and not self-aware of what's going on. Like, how do you have a group of friends you're sitting around, a full camera crew full of producers and audio guys and all these people around you, and you say some of the things that you do, some of the things that come out of your mouth? That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call lack of self-awareness. And Mary clearly has that problem going on here. I mean, a lot of things. Now let's get back into her not showing up to the reunion. Page 6 is reporting that Mary did not show up because she did not want to face the heat from her co-stars and Andy when it came to the remarks that she's made in season 2. She's made some racial remarks, if you guys can recall. We'll get into that. And the allegations surrounding her church being a cult. This was a story last season, but they didn't really dive into it. It was just chatter. But this season, they really dove into the Mary's church cult storyline, and it scared her away. I believe it 100% too. But I think it was wrong for Mary to do because now you let them control the narrative. Now that Mary didn't show up for the reunion, you're not there to defend yourself. Even if you are lying, you're not there to spin it some kind of way and at least give us something. Let's say she did show up and denied it. At least you're giving us a denial. At least she, if she would have showed up, she could have said something. She could have, people, they do this all the time. People show up. Look at Erica Jane, for example. She showed up. Yeah, do we believe her? Probably not. We know that she probably had a little idea of something. She was spending all this money, but she showed up. She faced the heat. She gave us something. Now she's moved on to the next season, and we haven't forgot about it, but I feel like this is her way of moving on. And you can't say the same for Mary, because she's going to always be known as a cult leader in Salt Lake City, and she ran away from the show because she didn't want to take the heat and own up and answer the questions. And back to the racial slur, if you remember, Mary has said 3 things that have been derogatory towards 3 different minority groups from season 1 and season 2. In season 1, she said that she was scared to go into gas stations because of, I don't know if she said black people, but she said there were certain people outside the gas stations that made her scared to go in. But the way she said it, it was towards a certain group. So I'm not exactly sure what the wording that she used. She said, I think she might have said black guys. And then this season, she referenced Mexicans as thugs. She pulled a Donald Trump and she said, when talking about Jen Shah's arrest, she started crying. I don't mean to laugh, but it was the way that Mary was crying when she said it. She said, she reminds me of one of those Mexican thugs. She later tried to spin it and say, she said when Jen had the helicopters and the FBI showing up, she was thinking of like the cartel. Why would the FBI and helicopters be showing up if it was something like big like the cartel? So she put Mexican thugs in there. And then she also referenced to Jenny's eyes as being loving her beautiful slanted eyes. You know, and Jenny brought this up to her and said, look, that's not a compliment to us in the Asian community. And Mary ended up saying it again. Like she said, oh, I love slanted eyes. And it's like, Mary, she reminds me a lot of Ramona. I feel like Mary has white woman syndrome. She's light skinned. I think she has lived in this little box her whole life. I guarantee you, had Mary's grandmother not left her all this wealth and her husband for Mary, she would have lived a very different life. She'd be a lot more humble. But the fact that she was left all this money, she was left this church, she's been in this bubble where she can do whatever she wants pretty much her whole life, buying designer goods, buying different homes. She hasn't really been the most social that's out here at events and everything. That's why I feel like she didn't really like doing Housewives, and why I feel like she didn't fit. And she seemed, not that she didn't fit, she just seemed like she didn't enjoy being there. And I think it's because if you look at her Instagram, or if you look at, not her Instagram, but just research Mary before, she wasn't some socialite that was out on the town at luncheons and galas and all this different shit like that. She wasn't. I think Housewives came along. She saw an opportunity to make some extra cash for her designer purses and her homes, and she hopped on board. But this was a bad move. Andy shared on his Instagram story and confirmed that she was not there. He also did a video at the reunion talking to the different ladies. You couldn't see them, but what we do know is that Andy's here, Jen Shah's on one side, and Lisa Barlow is on the other side. So those two ladies have the coveted seats next to Andy. We know that every year, the two ladies that sit next to Andy at the reunion has had the most drama, and more than likely has been renewed for the next season to come back. If you're in the next seats next to Andy, that means you pretty much got an A+ on the report card for the season. If you're at the end of the couches, you may need to worry a little bit. Not always, but a little bit. Usually if you're at the end of the couch, you were just kind of like a background actor that day. You weren't really the star. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about all of this. I personally am upset because I was a big fan of Mary, and I had high hopes for her as just a reality star in general, and I was looking forward to watching her for seasons to come and to see her flourish and grow into, you know how Housewives are from season 1 to season 10. They look completely different. I was ready to see Mary's glow up, but we won't be seeing that from her. If anything, I think things are going to be looking bad for Mary, because even though she ran away from this show, you still can't hide the fact that there are accusations out there about her, and that there are people saying that this church is a cult. And some are saying that there are even possible charges pending in the future if people start coming forward and talking about their experiences with Mary in the past. And who knows, some of these people, when it comes to cults, they stay very silent. But when they do speak up, there's no telling the amounts of evidence that is out there against Mary and the things that she's done. It's accusations at this point, but I personally believe it now because Mary did not show up. That to me was an admission of guilt, in my opinion. You didn't show up. If you didn't do anything, you should be able to face the music and say, hey, this is what it is. But now it makes you wonder, like, And I also wonder about the show going forward. I feel like it's going to be in a little bit of trouble going forward. Season 3 will be fine. However, after season 3, I think the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City may be in trouble, because we're going to end up losing Mary, because more than likely Bravo is going to fire her unless she comes back with a good reason and she's willing to lay it all on the line for season 3. And I mean lay it all out. We going up in the church. Bravo's going to want to go up in them church doors with the cameras, okay? So unless that happens, I don't see Mary coming back. And Jen Shah is getting ready to go to court in March. I'm sure they're going to document this for the new season. It's slated to begin filming in a few weeks after the reunion. So you know they're going to be capturing all that drama. at the courthouse with Jen and when she's sentenced. And it's not looking good for Jen. As bad as it, I don't want her to go to jail, and I know what she did was wrong and she should be held accountable if she's guilty, but she deserves her day in court. It's not looking good for her, and she may not be around for years to be on the show because she's going to go away to prison more than likely. So we're going to be losing Mary and we're going to be losing Jen. Two of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's heavy hitters. I mean, they're Mary. If you take Mary and Jen out of season 2 and you leave the 5 ladies we have left, they're great ladies. They could possibly carry a show, but all the drama was surrounding Jen and Mary. So that's why I think the show is in trouble. Unless they've got some standout people in Salt Lake City that's ready to step in and take over the ranks of Jen Shah and Mary Cosby, those are 2 big shoes to fill. So I don't know. Things look good. Things don't look good for Mary, and things don't look good for the show in general. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you feel about Mary not showing up to the reunion? Do you think that she'll be back for season 3, or do you think Bravo's going to give her the door? Also, do you think the show is in trouble now that Mary and Jen are going to be gone from the show possibly this time next year? Let me know in the comments. Let's discuss it. I can't wait to get back with y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Damien After Dark. I'll see you next time.